Hello and welcome to Marble Gallery's Game of the Year 2020 content. And today is the big one we're doing. Here is my top 10 list of favorite games released in calendar year 2020. Again, this is my personal top 10 list of my favorite games. If you don't see something on this list or you question where it is, this is my opinion and my opinion alone. We're going to start and we're just going to fire it off. We're going to hit the ground running with number 10.
Very funny. You're too young to remember this, but not so long ago, people talked about rogue AIs prowling cyberspace.
So, not aliens.
Doesn't matter who. What matters is that guy decided to take up the gauntlet. My man.
Number 10 is a game that I had planned to do a video review of on the channel. Obviously, with my hernia situation, didn't happen. And I will tell you right now, if I had reviewed this game, I would have given it a B-. I also want to preface this by saying I played this game on Series X where it ran pretty well, but if you have a base Xbox One, base PS4, or either one of the interim systems like the PS4 Pro or the One X, maybe don't play this game there. If you have a PC that can run it, or Series X or PS5, maybe try it there. That is, of course, Cyberpunk 2077. So, the reason I liked Cyberpunk 2077 is it felt to me like another Elder Scrolls or Fallout style game set in a cyberpunk world, and I have to be honest, I had fun hanging out with Keanu Reeves, but I actually enjoyed this game. I actually enjoyed the premise, the story. You know, I'm somebody who didn't follow the hype of this game. I wasn't overly excited for it. I just kind of knew I would play it when it came out. I purposely stayed away from most of the trailers. The only trailer I watched was the Keanu Reeves reveal. And for me personally, I walked out of this game okay with it. Now again, granted, there's so much shit that happened behind the scenes with Cyberpunk. It's still ongoing. And if you want to look at biggest mess of 2020, go watch that video. But for me, Cyberpunk 2077, I had a good time with it. It's number 10 on my list. Number 9 on my list is one of the biggest surprises of 2020 for me, and that is, of course, the pack-in game with the PS5, Astros Playroom. So Astros Playroom masquerades as a great platformer, but it's also a tech demo for the DualSense controller. But it's one of the best platformers I've played in years. It's incredibly charming, it's incredibly funny, it's colorful, and it's a great showpiece for what the PS5 can do. And kind of like I said in that other video, when you stack the PS5 and the Series X next to each other, the Series X doesn't have that showstopper the way that the PS5 does with Astro's Playroom. And I think it would have been really, really cool if Xbox had a tech demo-like game that came for free. Keep in mind, if you buy a PS5, you're going to get this game with it. When was the last time you got a pack-in game with a new system? So that's number 9 on my list. Number 8 on my list would be higher if I played more of it, but unfortunately, given my hernia situation and the fact that, you know, during that it wasn't really comfortable for me to sit 8 hours at a desk for work and then another, 4 or 5 to play a video game. And because this game's only on the Switch and I don't think it's great there, it leaves me to the PC version. So I didn't get to play nearly as much as I wanted, but what I did play I enjoyed. And if I had played more of it, I guarantee it'd be a top 5 game for sure. That is, of course, Hades. Hades is a great roguelike game. You know I love roguelike games. And what makes it better than some of the others is it tells a really interesting story. And it's kind of built around the trappings of a roguelike game. So it has an isometric view, kind of a top-down thing. I really enjoyed what I did play of this game. Unfortunately, I didn't even finish a playthrough of it. I wish I played more of it, but it had to make my top 10 list just because of how good it is.
My house is just up this path. Mom should be home by now, so I'll introduce you. There you go. That's my house.
It's amazing.
Come on. I'm home.
Hey, baby.
Number 7 on my list is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VII Remake finally saw its first part release in 2020, and they basically took 15 hours of this game and stretched it into a 50-hour game. And while on paper that sounds like a really bad idea, it actually really worked, and it became one of the best Final Fantasies that has come out in the last decade. It actually made me go back and play Final Fantasy 15 after it. And I actually really enjoyed Final Fantasy 15 as well, but 7 is great because, or the remake I should say, because it takes everything you grew up with if you loved Final Fantasy 7 when it originally released like I did, and it makes it better because it's a truly next-gen game. You know, it looks incredible, and this was running on a PS4. Do they do some stuff with the story? Sure. Are they kind of doing a wink and a nod that maybe they're going to change parts and aspects of the story? Sure. And I will have opinions on that when we get to it. But for this first part, it was excellent. I really couldn't have been happier with it. I liked the combat system. You know, I scrutinized the combat system before the game came out. Then I played it, and I actually really enjoyed the combat system. Red 13, my favorite character from Final Fantasy VII, is done justice in this game. Best, like, the most perfect voiced acting cast choice they could have picked for that character. Final Fantasy VII Remake, number 7 on my list.
Damn it! It's my turn, bitch!
Number 6 on my list is Resident Evil 3 Remake. Resident Evil 3 Remake is not as strong as Resident Evil 2 Remake from 2019, but it's still a hell of a good time. And it stars my favorite game character of all time, Jill Valentine. I think they did an excellent job of recasting that character for modern times, I guess. And the actress, I forget her name, she does an excellent job as Jill Valentine. It is a great game in its own right. Does it have some flaws? Sure. You know, I would have liked to see more procedural things with the Nemesis instead of just the first area. And it's a game you can literally beat under 2 hours if you know what you're doing. That being said, that was kind of the same way with the original Resident Evil 3, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. It's number 6 on my list. So, as we get to number 5, I'm going to say here, a lot of remakes on my list this year. 2020 was a year filled with great remakes. And when I see remakes, I'm not saying, hey, they went over here and they splashed a new coat of paint on this. These are built from the ground up remakes. Number 5 is a game I feel like a lot of people overlooked, and that is Mafia Definitive Edition. So I love Mafia, the original game. The sequels, not as much, but I always wondered what could the original Mafia look like given a fresh new coat of paint. They finally did it. I think not only is it Hainer 13's best stab at a Mafia game, it is just an excellent release, but I will say this. I have played the game briefly on Xbox One, and I played through my entire original run on PC. If you have access to a PC that can run this game, please play the game there. It just doesn't look good on the Xbox One. They didn't. I can't tell if they did like a Xbox One X patch for this game or not. It doesn't seem like they're doing one of those other patches for the game. It just looks pretty ugly when you stack it up to the PC version of the game. Maybe down the road, Hainer 13 will update it, and if they do, I would love to go back and play through it on my Series X. But for right now, if you have a PC, play Mafia there. But Mafia Definitive, awesome, awesome remake of a great classic game. Number 4 on my list, we're going to continue the trend of big remakes on this list, and that is a PS5 exclusive, and that is Demon's Souls. Now, I don't have the admiration for Demon's Souls as I do for the Dark Souls series because I never actually finished the original Demon's Souls. And this is the first time I did. I loved and enjoyed my time, but I felt it was the easiest. I beat this game, my first run through, in about 25 hours. And that's probably the shortest I've ever beaten a Souls game. And I don't know if I was just getting better at those games or what it is, but I got through it incredibly fast. And I really enjoyed it. It's another show-stopping piece for the PS5. It's one of the truly only next-gen releases because it's not anywhere else. It's not even on PC. And I think it's better for it. I wish I would see more of this happening on both systems. True exclusive next-gen games always look the best, especially when they're tied to one platform. And Demon's Souls Remake is no exception. I enjoyed my time. I don't need to really say more about it. If you like a Souls game, you're going to have a great time with it. Number 3 on my list, the final remake on this list, I promise. And again, 2020, year of the remake. This was the best remake I played in 2020. And one of the best games I played in 2020, and it's close to my heart, and that is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Hey, you know what? In 2020, we finally did it. After a decade of not knowing what to do with skateboarding games, we finally just said, hey, let's go back to what everybody loves. And they did. But they made this incredible remake of that game, built from the ground up. You know, the environments, all the lighting, rebuilt in Unreal Engine 4 or 5, I can't remember, maybe it was 6 or 7, I don't remember. Rebuilt in the Unreal Engine, it looks incredible. They brought back basically all of the soundtrack you used to remember, you know, you knew and loved back in 1999 and 2000. It's here. And it just plays excellent. I've played countless hours of it. It's a game I bought on both the Xbox and the PlayStation. I bought the skateboard thing, for crying out loud. It is an excellent remake. I urge you to play it. I loved it to death. I still love it. I'm still playing it. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, that's number 3 on my list.
Opening the portal now.
Never one of us. You were nothing but a usurper, a false idol. My eyes have been opened. Let me help you to see, Slayer.
Number 2 on my list was actually my game of the year for most of 2020 until another game inched above it. And I love this game. I will preface by saying I think the predecessor was just a hair better, but that is, of course, Doom Eternal. I'm a huge Doom fan, as you guys know on the channel. I was eagerly anticipating Doom Eternal. We finally got it way back in March. It seems like 5 years ago, but way back in March, Doom Eternal came out. Now, yes, Doom Eternal, it does some stuff. It does some interesting stuff with platforming. They do definitely throw a lot more maneuvers at you, a lot more things to handle, but you can handle it. And I think it's the best playing between Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. But I will say I like the story of the original 2016 Doom better than Doom Eternal story. But I'm excited to see where the story is going to go. I will also say I've not played any of the DLC for Doom Eternal yet. I'm waiting till it's all out. But Doom Eternal, I loved it. It was my game of the year for a long, long time. It looks incredible. If you have the chance to play it on a high-end PC, that's the best place to play it. I'm not really one that advocates for PC games, but I did get a chance to play through it there as well as the Xbox One X earlier this year, and I will look at it again once the Series X patch comes out for it. But Doom Eternal, that's my number 2 game.
Who asked you to kill me?
The peasants who bow to you. The merchants who smile as you pay them. All Yarikawa prays for the death of Clan Sakai and Shimura.
Not everyone. Some forgive.
The rest weep for revenge. I will bring them comfort.
You're fast.
You never...
Game of the Year 2020. My favorite game of 2020 is actually a game that I played recently. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's because I needed something to do during my hernia recovery. I don't know. But my biggest and favorite game of 2020 is a Sony exclusive, and it's Ghost of Tsushima. And I honestly can't believe it as it comes out of my mouth that that's my favorite game of 2020, but it is. Again, like, I didn't go into this game expecting a lot out of it. I went into this game just kind of like, oh, I'll give it a shot because it's a Sony exclusive. I should probably cover it before the end of the year, and I do Game of the Year stuff. I did not go into this game anticipating I would come out of it going, hey, that's my favorite game of 2020, but hey, here we are. And for a lot of the reasons I said in my biggest surprise video, it's the story, it's the combat is actually really, really good, it's the world, the visuals, everything about this game is incredible and top tier. Sucker Punch, you know, the people that made the infamous games made this game. It's just another testament, and I think a lot of people are going to look at The Last of Us 2, which, as you can tell, is noticeably absent from this list, and they're going to look at that game as kind of the last footnote of the Sony PS4 era. I think you should look at Ghost of Tsushima because I think it's a good epilogue to a great generation for Sony of first-party exclusive games. You think of things like Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Spider-Man, just so many first-party exclusive titles. Death Stranding, although you can play Death Stranding on PC now, but you get my point. So many exclusive first-party titles, and I think Ghost of Tsushima ranks among them. It's definitely worth checking out for that reason alone. You know, when I look back on the history of this channel and the history of me doing this Game of the Year stuff, it's interesting to note that most of my Game of the Year games have been Sony first-party titles. And it's crazy, but then you think about it, it's a true testament to what Sony did this generation. Sony basically sat down, they made good on all these studios they had, and they said, we need to be better. And they gave these people the time of day to come up with some new ideas, new IPs. Think about it. New IPs. Horizon Zero Dawn, new IP, new idea. Ghost of Tsushima, new idea, new IP. God of War, not a new idea, not a new IP, but they did something different with it that was incredible. So you think about that, and you look at the other systems, and you know, you look at the Xbox, which didn't have as good of a generation. I wouldn't sit here and say it's the worst generation, but not a great generation when stacked to Sony, who just, they fired on every cylinder that they had. And to come back and go, hey, Ghost of Tsushima, my Game of the Year 2020, it's crazy that my Game of the Year 2017 was a Sony exclusive. I think Persona 5 still is a Sony exclusive. 2018, God of War, and 2020, Ghost of Tsushima. The only outlier would be Control last year because that's a multi-platform game. It's kind of crazy that most of my Game of the Year choices have been Sony first-party titles or Sony exclusives, but the fact remains, they fired on all cylinders this generation, and Ghost of Tsushima is a perfect epilogue game into the PS4 generation. So that is my pick for Game of the Year 2020. I hope you enjoyed this series of videos. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.